Hey Canucks fans, welcome to Clay's Canucks Commentary. It is Sunday, March the 18th. I'm Clay Emo at Canuck Clay on Twitter and at Clayton Emo on Instagram. Well, thankfully, the Canucks did not set a record for fertility in scoring as Nikolai Goldobin's power play goal snapped the streak, made sure that we did not make the record books, and for good measure, Bo Horvat and Alex Edler piled on to give the Canucks 3 goals in a 5-3 loss to San Jose. It's actually a close game, very exciting game, especially in the third period, back and forth. Canucks had a lot of chances, really down 4-3 for the most of the third period before San Jose sealed it with that empty net goal. So an entertaining game for the home crowd. I wasn't at the game, my buddy Mike was, but I was watching from home, and it was certainly entertaining, especially once the Canucks got that first goal off their back, so to speak, or in the net more accurately, and then they went on from there. Don't really want to talk too much about last night's game, rather look ahead, and we've played 72 games now. We have 10 games left in the season, and my simple topic for today is this. Are we entering into the last 10 games of the Sedins career with the Vancouver Canucks? We know the story. They wrote that wonderful letter in the summer saying that there's no place they'd rather play, that they won't play anywhere else, and if we can hold them to their word, which I do, then really it's only 2 options. So being traded or signing somewhere else isn't an option. It's either they retire at the end of the season or they come back for at least one more year, likely only one more year if they come back. So really, if we're looking at those 2 options, there's a couple things here. It's what do you think is going to happen and what do you want to happen? I'm going to save what we want to happen for another video, but I think very quickly, it's very obvious. Some of us, some of the crowd, some of the Canucks fan base will want the Sedins to go out on their terms, and if they want to come back for a season to mentor guys like Besser and likely Pettersson and Gaudette maybe, then that's a good thing. There's no harm in having them as mentors, as good players in the room, as long as it's for a reasonable salary. We can argue about what that reasonable salary is, but that would be the argument to bringing them back. The argument in favor of them retiring is it basically frees up 2 roster spots. Roster spots that guys like Goldobin and Gaudette and Pettersson and Virtanen and stuff, and guys like that would not be fighting for necessarily, and at least it opens up 2 spots, and it signifies a true rebuild, it signifies a dawning of a new day, really, in the Canucks history. So let's talk about that. We'll have a lot of time to talk about that over the next month, especially as they draw out their decision, and apparently they're not going to make their decision until the summer. Does it hamstring the Canucks a little bit? Maybe a little bit, but as Jim Benning has said, they're going to afford the Sedins that respect. Okay, so that's about if we want them to do it. What do we think they're actually going to do? That's really a tough go right now when we're looking at 10 games left. Recently, I've seen stories of the Sedins saying that they're even not sure right now. Henrik's been saying stuff like it really he's basing it depending on the young guys. And when he says depending on the young guys, I think he wants to see the work ethic. He wants to see the commitment. He wants to see the hard work and, in essence, the teamwork, the unselfishness that all the young guys need to do, and basically show that they're willing to improve each and every day, even in this adverse times, even the tail end of the season where the Canucks are winding down the season. So he's looking at guys like Virtanen, like Besser if he wasn't injured, maybe guys like Leipzig who might plan to be in the Canucks' future, guys like Stetcher, and even Ben Hutton. So very interesting. I'm very intrigued, especially because it's only 10 games left, and I think the main thing for me is I'm going to 2. I think there's about 4 or 5 home games left. I'm going to 2 of them for sure, at least. The Columbus one on the 31st, and then the Vegas one on April 3rd. And I need to go in. I think all Canucks fans need to go into these last home games thinking that this will be the last time we see the Sedins. And that's kind of like a safe hedging your bets type thing. Because the worst thing the worst thing to do would be to go into these games thinking that, oh yeah, no problem, we'll see them next season. I like them, but I'm not going to show my appreciation because I'll have a chance to do that next season in their farewell tour. Imagine if they have a bad last 10 games or whatever, they decide not to, after reflecting, not to come back, and then boom, it's the end of the season on April 5th, their last game against Arizona, and then they're done. Like no kind of last lap around the ice and whatever it be, and it would be very anticlimactic. It reminded me of when it was Trevor Linden's last game. Everyone knew it was the last game. They pulled him out. He playing against the Calgary Flames. Aginla and all the Flames waited to shake his hand, and they all came actually out from the dressing room, shook his hand, and gave him hugs and congratulated Trevor Linden, and rightfully so. Meanwhile, Marcus Naslund, who is an unrestricted free agent, arguably done more for the Canucks on the ice than Linden did, or at least a more prolific point getter at least. Don't want to get anyone mad at me here. And he was just quietly and very humbly standing on the side, you know, and watching all this happen, and not even a swan song or a final lap around the ice. So can you imagine if we don't know what's going to happen? Henrik and Daniel play their last game, and that's it. They just kind of skate off the ice. You know, I think it's going to be more telling that I think we'll be able to tell whether they actually do. Picture this: if the last game against Arizona takes place, and the final whistle goes, win or lose, and then Henrik and Daniel stay on the ice a bit longer than usual, they do a couple waves, a couple laps, then maybe that is a telltale sign. However, if they skate off the ice, like, you know, probably give the big stick tap or stick wave to the crowd with the rest of the Canucks and then skate off, then maybe that's a hint that they're coming back. But regardless, I think it's dumb to speculate on April 5th, because if they are going to take the summer, and especially hopefully by draft in July 1st, free agency, to give the Canucks at least some wiggle room to work with, I think that's what they'll decide. So maybe they'll decide in April, May, and June as they're watching the rest of the Stanley Cup playoffs play out. Okay, I'm kind of rambling a lot here. I'm not really said much, but I want to ask you, fellow Canucks fans, what do you think is going to happen with the Sedins? And if so, if you think that they are going to retire, will you have a chance to pay your respects to them? Will you be going to any games in the next last month of the season so that you can make sure that you cheer for them and make sure that you appreciate them? I am going to go into those last, like I said, 2 or 3 games as if it's the last time I see them. Going to wear my Henrik Sedin jersey for sure, and certainly pay my respects. And if they end up coming back for one more year at a good cost, and it makes sense for the team, then of course I would support them that way. But hey, the fact that they've left it up in the air, you never know. And it's just another interesting storyline to this season. Added the injuries, the Brock Besser-Calder race, then his injury, and all the free agency, the trades, and the development, the rebuilding, the management, the re-signing, betting. It has been a very eventful season, and just add this to yet the list of questions, yet another question, another bit of uncertainty as we head into the last 10 games of the season. All right, Canucks fans, I'd love to hear what you think. I'd love to read and react, so leave a comment below. What do you think the Sedins are going to do, and are you going to go into these games expecting these to be the last 10 games of their season? And if so, are you going to act any differently, or are you going to be able to express your appreciation somehow like I plan to do? Leave a comment below. Like I said, if you haven't subscribed to this channel already, I invite you to do so. And give this video a like if you don't mind. That helps me out a lot. And the Canucks are off until Tuesday, where they start game number 10. So game number 73, I should say. The 10th last game of the season in Vegas on Tuesday night, March the 20th. Have a great rest of the weekend. Enjoy the time. God bless. And go Canucks go.